Your job, your career, and your calling are all different things in astrology. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly what they are and how you find them using your birth chart. If you're new here, hi, hello. My name is Blue, and I'm a business astrologer here to help you use astrology so that you can start, grow, and scale your online business. I specialize in traditional Hellenistic astrology, and when it comes to business astrology, there really isn't a better system to be using. So, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the differences between your job or occupation, your career, and your calling in astrology and walking you through exactly where you would find it in your birth chart. One of the things that I love about traditional astrology is that it really emphasizes that there is a major difference between your job and occupation and your career and your calling. Now, modern astrology takes the approach that your job and your calling can be the same thing. But in reality, these are three distinct things that can be linked to many different places in the birth chart. That's why if someone were to come to me and ask, well, what's the best job for me to do? I can't give just one answer. It's also why it may be really inaccurate for someone to just say that the midheaven is the placement to use for your job or your career. The fact of the matter is there's so many different placements that are used together when it comes to business and career astrology that you have to take the entire chart into consideration. And it's also not just a blanket one size fits all answer to what relates to your job or career in astrology. So, we're going to break down what these three distinct things are and the specific placements that correlate to them. And you may be surprised at what you find when you bring them all together. So, the first thing we're going to explore is your job, or better known as your occupation. So, what is your occupation? Your occupation is the thing that you do for daily work. This is really looking at the job title or role that you have in the work that you do on a day-to-day basis. Now, what's interesting to note is that you can have many different occupations over the span of your life. So it's not just one occupation that you may have. Now, the main placement that speaks to occupation in the birth chart is the sixth house. In traditional Hellenistic astrology, the sixth house is commonly known as a house of bad fortune. This is because it deals with the daily things that you may encounter that bring about challenges or obstructions within your life. So, this is talking about things like injuries, illnesses, sickness, suffering. Okay. The traditional astrology can get pretty dramatic. But in modern times, the sixth house translates to occupation, service, health, and wellness. So, in talking about business astrology specifically, the sixth house corresponds to your occupation or the thing that you do on a consistent basis when it comes to work. So this corresponds really nicely with your job title or your role, the thing that you clock in and out of, the thing that you do to earn possibly a consistent paycheck. Now, because this is the house of bad fortune, this really indicates that this house is going to rule over, again, the challenges that one may encounter when it comes to daily life. Occupation falls under this category because this is really speaking to the challenges that may come about within work. And this is the most common thing that I actually hear from people who want to use astrology for their career and business. They feel really unfulfilled by their work. And that's because we're conflating this idea of your calling needing to be your job or occupation. So unless you have the specific placement that points to your calling or your vocation in your sixth house, you don't need to have a job that is emotionally or soul fulfilling for you. In fact, it is more supportive based on your astrology to have a job where you just clock in and out and then you go and live your life outside of it. That's the beauty of learning how to work with the energy of your sixth house. This is also because the sixth house is also the place where Mars rejoices. Mars is a malefic planet, so it brings about challenges to the birth chart, especially if you were born during the day, because this indicates that Mars is going to be your most challenging planet to work with. However, Mars represents war, strategy. It's speaking about action. So, in rejoicing with the sixth house, we can conclude that that Martian energy, that drive and that desire to do something, to take action towards a specific goal is what motivates you and helps you to move through the challenge of not feeling emotionally fulfilled, of having a job sometimes just be a means to an end for something. And so astrologically, it may actually be a better fit for you to have a job where you feel okay, you can get the work done, but it also allows you the freedom and the support and the structure for you to feel emotionally fulfilled in other parts of your life. So now that we've covered occupation, let's talk about career. Career is different from occupation, especially when we're talking about astrologically, because while your occupation is a thing that you're doing right now, career is a thing that spans over a large period of time. This is speaking to what you do and the impact of the work that you are doing over a large period of time. I'm talking years, decades even. Now, when we're talking about career, the best placement that speaks to this is the 10th house. The 10th house you may already be familiar with because it gets a lot of attention in astrology. That's because this house rules over career as longevity, meaning that this is speaking to the overall impact of your work. Ancient astrologer Valens refer to this as the place of what one does, which speaks to occupation, but also the action needed to support that occupation over time or even building a business. The 10th house also speaks to being the house of glory. And we can cite this because the 10th house is a very prominent house in the birth chart. We have the angular houses, the first house, the fourth house, the seventh house, and the 10th house, which are all more active houses within a person's life. So even if you don't have any planets or placements here, that's okay. The 10th house is still going to be a house where a lot of activity unfolds for you, or it may be an area of interest for you, depending on what's going on there. The 10th house is also the house of public reputation and advancement. So overall, this is really speaking to the impact of the work that you do over a large period of time. It is what you become known for, not necessarily what you do, but more so how you do it. Now, let's say you have a connection between your sixth house and your 10th house. Say you have a specific aspect connecting these two houses. Well, this would be more indication that you should definitely get a job that is more fulfilling for you emotionally and on a soul level, and not just something that you clock in and out of. This is also emphasized depending on what placements or energy you have in the 10th house. So if you have benefic energy, Venus or Jupiter, ruling or in this house, especially if you have some other placements we're going to talk about that are in the 10th house, this is more correlating to having a career where you feel emotionally fulfilled by, versus if there isn't that connection there, then it may not be as important for you to find emotional fulfillment through your occupation or even overall in your career. You're meant to really find it elsewhere, astrologically speaking. Now, what about your calling? We've been dancing around this throughout the video, and your calling is especially important when we're talking about business astrology, especially as a online service provider who has or wants to have your own business, because your calling is really speaking to the specific way that you are meant to do something. Your calling is going deeper than just talking about the work that you do on a daily basis or even the thing that you may be known for. This is talking about the specific way that you are known for doing something, as well as the emotional connection you have to the work that you do. One example that I love to give is your vocation may be in being a writer, okay? So your vocation, right, or the work that is most emotionally fulfilling to you may be most connected to the act of writing. And all that's required for you to fulfill that vocation is to embrace the act of writing. It doesn't require you necessarily to be a writer full time or to be a writer as your occupation, right? Or even to be known as a writer. As long as you engage in the act of writing regularly, you're fulfilling your vocation. So astrologically speaking, there are two placements that we can look to that really indicate what your vocation can be. Now, these placements are the midheaven and the lot of spirit. The midheaven, I've talked about extensively on this channel. It's one of my favorite placements to work with when it comes to business astrology because this is very visible in the birth chart. Many people often find their midheaven in the 10th house, but it can be anywhere from the 7th house all the way to the 12th house, depending on your time of birth. I actually have a whole video breaking down exactly how to find your midheaven. So if you're not sure where yours is, definitely make sure to check out that video because I'll show you exactly how to find yours. Now, if you have your midheaven in the 10th house, then this is an indication that your vocation or the work that you find the most fulfilling is going to be really deeply connected to your public reputation. So you are meant, astrologically speaking, to build a reputation around the work that you find the most fulfilling. And so that's really a big encouragement from your natal chart to move forward and to create space to do the work that is most emotionally fulfilling for you. But if you have your midheaven in another house, let's say the 9th house or the 11th house, then your vocation or the work that is going to be most fulfilling for you is going to be more deeply connected to the themes of that house rather than the 10th house. So there may be an expansion on what is required for you to build a public reputation around expanding the work that you are most known for, to go beyond just the themes of the 10th house, but also to include the themes of the house of your midheaven. You also want to take some other things into consideration, like your midheaven ruler, as well as the astrological rule. So, what are the conditions of the planets? What's the activity going on in there? What aspects are happening between the houses and the planets and the placements? And how are they all speaking to each other? What is the information that is being combined? All of that really plays a role into helping you to understand and break down how to use your midheaven effectively. Now, the other placement that speaks to vocation in the birth chart, not as well known, and it really should be because it's pretty cool, and that is the lot of spirit. Now, the lot of spirit is not a placement per se, but it is a calculation based on the specific placements within your individual birth chart, which makes it really, really cool. So the lot of spirit is one of the 7 hermetic lots that are based on the lots of the 7 traditional planets: the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Now, the lot of spirit is the lot of the sun. So this is speaking to your purpose and what it is that you're truly meant to do in this lifetime. Because it is the lot of the sun, it has connotations to solar themes, right? Again, what you are meant to be visible around, to build awareness on, what brings you joy and aspires you to show up and light up and be visible in your life. It's so interesting when you combine the midheaven and the lot of spirit together because they really help you to uncover what your individual vocation really looks like and the different ways that you can play with it in incorporating it within your business. But as you can see, there's so many different places to look at the birth chart when it comes to finding a job versus your career versus your actual calling and vocation within astrology. So it is important to look at the entirety of your birth chart to really understand and get the full picture of what that looks like for you. Now, if you're curious about what this all looks like for you, then I want to encourage you to book a business astrology reading. In it, I really break down exactly what all these placements look like for your individual birth chart and help you to strategize what this can look like for you in real time. The link to book that can be found in the description box below. I can't wait to see you in a business astrology reading and in the next video. Bye.